Good morning, everyone. I have a great project for you today. But first, I wanted to acknowledge today is Veterans Day here in the US and it's Remembrance Day in Canada. And so I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who serves, who has served, and who has died in service. I want to remember and thank all of you for keeping our countries safe. So wanted to say that my videos always fall on Friday, so I never know when that's going to happen. But I just wanted to acknowledge that and say that at the beginning of the video. All right, today I've got a great project for you, and if you like Ghirardelli truffles, and this project will be especially for you. If you don't craft with Ghirardelli chocolates, no worries. You can put whatever you want into this little slider box that I've created with the Window Wishes bundle. I kept the decoration really simple, but you can decorate it to the nines. You can do whatever you want with it. I just kept it a very clean and simple design. And I think it's very elegant just like this. I know some people like a little bit more sprucing up. I'm going to show you when I change my camera how this works, because when I open this up and I'm holding it up like this, it's going to not work so well. So I'll show you on my other camera what this looks like. And I just wanted to say hello to all of you who have joined me. I so appreciate it when you join me in the morning for my lives, because it gives me a lot of energy and I love to connect with you afterwards. I'll read your comments, and if you have questions along the way, please let me know, because I like to answer them live if possible. If you're watching this as a recording, thank you for watching me afterwards. I appreciate that too. Leave me a comment, give me a like, follow me on YouTube. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's switch over. Oh, you know what? I should tell you about my project sheet. I always have project sheets for my Friday videos. To get this project sheet, you need to be on my email list. If you're to get on my email list, look down below in the description of the video. You might need to click on See More, and there is a link to join my email list, and then you will have access to my project sheets. These get sent out on Saturday via email. They've got a supply list, instructions, and I even for this one, for a lot of them, I do include a diagram. I like to keep them kind of short, but there's a diagram today to show you how to put things together. So they're kind of like the condensed version of what I'm going to do today. You can always refer back to the video. My video, I try and go slowly and I show you different angles, and I want to really share how to put things together, because I want anyone to be able to make this. All right, let me switch to my other camera. So I made these boxes in 3 different colors. So just to show you, like, you could go very elegant and stylish with this one. I'm imagining this would make a nice little host gift to give to someone, and it's not too expensive, because you know you can the Ghirardelli chocolates, only 6 of them fit in there, but it's just a sweet little gift. Or you can give these away too, because Ghirardelli, while they are a more expensive chocolate maybe than Hershey's Kisses, they're still not going to break the bank if you're only putting 6 in here. And then you can go more festive if you want to. You can change up the greeting. Maybe you don't celebrate Christmas, and you can put whatever greeting you want there, and that makes it adaptable. You don't have to do a wreath. I'll show you in a second what other suggestions I have, but this little box is a slider box, and that's how it works. And there's the 6 Ghirardelli chocolates are right snug inside of there. This is a double-walled box, so it's a little sturdier than just a box. So it's nice. This is a tight fit, but not super tight. So it's just the right amount of a slide. You don't want to pick this up and then have your contents slide out very easily. So I think this is just such a sweet little box. Okay, let's talk about the supplies I used. The Window Wishes dies, or Window Wishes bundle, and it includes the stamp set and the dies. You will want both, especially if you want to do this wreath right here. There's a die that cuts that out. I'm going to show you how to use that. It has a little arrow here. I want to explain how that works. I'm using the frame, and this is for this piece, the outer piece. And then this piece right here cuts the inner window. There's some other dies. I'm using the little bow die. And then in here we've got some different words. I'm using Merry Wishes. The candles would also look really nice in the window. I would probably put them down here, and then I would move Merry Wishes up a little higher. So you could play around with that. One thing I just wanted to show you. So you can see this back here is vellum. So it's like a frosted window. You could also use window sheet if you wanted to, but for this one, I thought it would be nice. You can kind of see I didn't have enough Ghirardelli chocolates to fit all my boxes. So not all of them are filled, but you can kind of see how that frosted look lets the chocolate peek through, but it's still a bit of a mystery. Okay, so I liked the kind of the frosted window effect. So that just slides in there like that. Okay, I'll talk about the other supplies along the way, but that is the main supply that I used today. Okay, I'm trying to prop up my sheet so I can see it. All right, we will start off. We're going to make the box, the thing that the chocolate or the truffle sits in. So we're going to create the box first. And so I have a piece of basic white cardstock, and this piece measures 9 1/8 inches by 7 3/4 inches. And I'm going to grab my scoring board, and we'll pop this here, and we're going to score this piece on all 4 sides the same way. So I like to stand up when I score because it's a little bit easier. I'm just going to put my microphone in here. To score if you're standing right behind your project. We're going to score this at the 1 1/4 inch mark and the 2 1/2 inch mark on all 4 sides. Okay, so let's do that. 1 1/4, 2 1/2. 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 1 1/4, 2 1/2. All right. If you follow me, you might recognize this box base from my Hershey's nugget boxes. Of course, this is a different dimension because we are doing Ghirardelli chocolates instead of nuggets, okay? And then the other difference too is the other ones had a window sheet lid. This one has a slider lid, so really a little bit different of a box. So what I want to do, I'm going to show my little diagram. Here. Let's fold this over so we can focus on the right diagram. Okay, so here is my little diagram. So this is what I'm going to do. Basically, I'm going to cut away these 3 corner squares, and then this square right here is going to remain, and I'm going to make a little cut right here. I'm going to do all my work on the trimmer because it's so much easier to get straight lines this way, and I just like that look. So I am going to come here. This is the second score line in, and I am going to place my score line right along this groove right here. And I'm going to cut up from that second score intersection in and up. And then I'm lifting this up and I'm going to do the same right here. So I've cut here and cut here. I'm going to shove this to the next score line over, okay? And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut up from the second score line down, out, and out. And so you can see I've created this kind of wild look. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. And I have the long side up at the top both times when I'm doing this. So I'm coming second score line down. And if this doesn't make any sense to you at all, then just cut away those 3 outer squares first. Okay. So that is what it looks like. So if you cut away the 3 corner squares, then you can always come back and cut along here if what I just did didn't make sense. Okay, so now we're going to turn this piece and we're going to do some cutting going in the opposite direction. So now I'm going to come into the second score line again. Actually, this time I'm going to do the outer score line first. Let's do that. Line up with the outer score line, and we're going to come down to the second score line, and I'm going to cut, and I'm going to cut from the second score line. So these little squares are now going to fall off. Those are some of the outer squares. And then I'm going to come along, come into the second score line in, and we'll cut here and cut here. So I'm cutting off now just one square, not this square. So I didn't go all the way here. Okay, so you can kind of see how this is starting to look. Okay, it's just nice if you can do this on your trimmer. Everything's nice and straight. Okay, so I'm going in from the first score line in from the side, 2 score lines down, cut and cut. These squares will fall away. Then I come to the second score line in and just come down to the first score line, not the second one, just the first one. And do that. And then I'm lifting this up and cutting there. Tuck. All right, so that's what it looks like. Okay, so now just to make this project come together a little easier, I'm going to take my paper snips, and we've got these 4 tabs here, and I'm just going to angle cut them like that. Just a little tiny sliver on an angle. Flip this over, do the same there. Then I'm going to flip it over. I always like to cut down here on the bottom in this direction because that's where I'm most natural cutting. And then I'll flip and okay, so just those 4 little tabs get a little angle. So angle, 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 angle. All right, so now we're going to fold this piece along the score lines. I like to use my bone folder to help smooth down that fold. Fold these 2 in. And everything gets folded in one direction. So this part you'll remember from my nugget boxes if you made them. Okay, so These two end tabs, if you cut yours the same way as I did, we can just glue those two right down. So that's what I'll do first, because these tabs on the sides are going to tuck in, but these ones we can glue down really quickly first. So let's just do that. Use the bone folder to help adhere those down. And then this one. So now we have a nice strong double wall on our box. Okay. And then we've got these guys, and each of these are going to come in, and then these are going to tuck around like that. Okay. So we can take this and do this. Interesting thing about this box is you could actually assemble it without adhesive. But then you'd want to have something inside to hold the sides down. This, putting the adhesive on, just helps everything kind of stay together nicely so it doesn't kind of shift apart. So when you're bringing in this side, just make sure that your score line and the edge of your cardstock are coming together. They're not coming out on a wonky angle. And then I would just fold this back so you can see, I'll just take my bone folder and just slide it in there and just give it a little press. Okay. And then we'll do the same thing for the other side. Just put Tombow on this outer piece. And then lift this around. And I'm just kind of pushing in the sides because I want a nice finish coming around here. Like that. And then I'll come in here, press this down, and press this down like that. So there is the little box. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch this for the box that I already had because I only have about 8 truffles, and so that's not enough to fill all my little boxes. But basically these little guys, they just, you just take a little moment and tuck them in nicely so the little brown papers don't get smushed too much. But they fit in there nicely. They don't jiggle around too much. They're just kind of the perfect placement for that. Okay, so that is part 1, just the box. And now we're going to do the slider top piece that comes over top. Okay, so this piece, we need a scoring tool. This piece measures 9.5 inches by 4.25 inches. 9.5 by 4.25. Put this up at the top of our scoring board. And this one gets scored at the 1.25 inch mark, 4 1/8 inch mark, 5 3/8, and finally 8.25. All right, you can probably see those lines just a little bit. Let me just flip this over so you can see the lines a little better on there. And now we're going to cut this window into one of the segments. It probably doesn't matter which segment. I just chose the one on the right, one of the larger segments. And we're going to use this die right here to do that cutting. I'm trying to think. Yeah, okay, we'll do this first, and then we'll come back and we'll do all the other die cutting we need. Okay, so I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and you will need your regular size one to do this because this is too wide for the mini cut and emboss. So basically, I'm just taking the die. You can take, you can pin it down with some Post-it labeling tape. I think for this one, I can just kind of make sure that I don't shift it. And I just want to center this on here as close as possible. Look both sides to see it's centered within the score line, centered from top to bottom. I think that looks pretty good. And when you like how that is, we're going to run this through. This is the standard sandwich for a for thin dies. Let me come back and talk about that real quick, just in case. So there is our little die cut window. So if you're new to die cutting, let me just explain the sandwich real quick. Oh, come on, little pieces. All right. So when you're die cutting, this is a stamp and cut and emboss machine. Over on the side, there's a little handle that I'm cranking. That's off camera. And then right here, we've got our base platform. It's kind of thick. Number 1, thin die adapter, number 2. Then we've got a clear plate, number 3, and another clear plate that goes on top of everything. Your die and cardstock go on the first clear plate, and then the other one goes on top, and then you run that through. Okay, so that's what I just did. I ran through my little window, and I'm trying to think if I do need to do some other die cutting, but let's put this away for now. I need to do some stamping first, and then we'll do all the other die cutting. So for this piece, I want to carefully fold it along the score lines. So when I do that on either side of the window, I want to be really careful, because now that I've created this opening, this part is a little flimsy. So find your score line, and then I keep my window down, because if I fold this up top here, this is the flimsy part, but if I keep it this part folded down, when I'm folding this over, this isn't going to be wonky. And then I'll just do this. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side of this piece. Just carefully kind of fold it while this piece is down. And then fold this over. And okay, so this way this doesn't accidentally get folded. And then I'll come in with my other 2 folds. Okay. So now what I want to do, and I've been doing this a lot with window sheets and vellum, is I'm going to use Tombow instead of like tear and tape. I find if you put the Tombow on and you let it dry just a little bit, then it doesn't wrinkle your or ooze out of your window sheet or wrinkle your vellum. So I'm just going to take Tombow and just put it on the back side of my window. And I'll come in and I'm just going to really lightly go in between these little pieces, because I do want it to stick down nicely. I'm not going all the way to the edge, because my vellum piece is going to be a little shorter and narrower than this piece. I'm going to set this piece aside for just a moment and let it dry. And then it will still be, the Tombow will still be sticky, and then I'll add my vellum piece on top of there. So I'll just put this over here out of the way, and then we'll come back in and we'll do our stamping, some of our decoration for the front. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp the wreath. And let me tell you about this little wreath here. When you get your Window Wishes stamps, they're going to be on some clear sheets. They're not going to be stuck to the case. You're going to have to peel them off and put them down here. And you're going to have to take this little guy here. This is the wreath. And there isn't going to be a little black dot on your wreath. I added that afterwards. So what you'll want to do is you want to align this perfectly with all of the little berries on here. You're going to want to find which way it fits perfectly. All of these have a way that when they'll perfectly align on here. So you're going to turn this the first time you use it or put it in the case. You're going to take a little moment and align it so the dots match perfectly. It might take you a while. You might have to turn it a bit to get it aligned perfectly. Once you've got the alignment right, take a Sharpie and see that little V right there? There's a little tiny V or arrow. It's supposed to be an arrow, but it kind of looks like a V. Take that and just put a little dot on the side of your photopolymer stamp with a Sharpie, which is what I did. And now that is going to mark the top of your wreath. The reason you want that is because it's going to make your die placement so much easier. So now when I peel this off, and also now when I put this down, it's going to be completely perfect around here. But truly, it doesn't matter for this purpose, for having it on here. That doesn't really matter if it's not perfect on here. But what does matter is the die placement is so much easier if you know what is up. And you can do that in two ways. You can just say, okay, this is up, and you're not going to shift it when you die cut. But what I suggest you do is also put a little dot at the top of your cardstock. And we're going to stamp a green wreath, garden green ink. And my dot's up top, ink this up. And then just stamp this on your little, this is a scrap piece of basic white. Okay, so now I know I stamped this with a dot on top. When I go to die cut it, there's my little arrow on the die. So now I can align this, and this is going to be really easy for me because guess what? I know what is up. Okay, so we'll do that in a moment. We'll set this aside. What else do I need to do while I'm waiting for things to dry? We're going to stamp. We'll do our little greeting. So this is a 3-inch by 1/2-inch piece of white cardstock. And I'm going to take my Banner's Pick-a-Punch, open it up. And this width right here, is it 1/2 inch? Oh yeah, it is. You can slide it down here, but I find with the 1/2 inch mark, it's easier for me to flip this over. I'm going to still put it into that slot, but I'm actually just holding on to the very end of it, and I'm going to shove it in here. And I'm going to turn around here, and I'm actually going to not use the slot to center it because for some odd reason, sometimes it can get a little off. I'm just going to center it until it looks perfect and then give it a punch. And I'll do the same for the other side. And this is also good if you're not quite right on 1/2 inches, on the 1/2 inch mark. It's easier to do. I'm holding on to the very end of it, and I'm just feeding it on that slot. And then I'm just going to punch it once it looks centered, like that. So if you want, try feeding it in the slot. 3 inches is about as short as you can go. So like you're probably going to be down here right at the very end. And that's why I find it's easier to turn it over when you get that short measurement. Okay, so now we need to decide what color to stamp this. And I am not sure if I'm going to do real red, or I think I'll do real red. I might regret that decision. We might have to change it up afterwards. We'll see. We're going to change up some of the colors. This box will be a little different. Okay, so I'm going to use real red ink and just stamp that right onto the center. Merry wishes. And nice thing is this stamp is in that set, so you don't need an extra stamp set or anything. All right. Okay, so let's do the die cutting that we need for the top of the box. We're almost done. Okay. All right, we're going to create a real red window frame. I've got a piece of scrap real red cardstock here. We're going to put this on here, run this through. going to grab our wreath piece and run this through. I'm a little worried that I'm going to shift that wreath piece because it has, I don't want it to I want it to go through nicely. Let's make sure it's right where it needs to be. Okay, pop that down there. And then we'll run this through. We have one more thing to run through. I should have turned this window on a bit of an angle. It would have gone through without making that big crackly noise. But that's okay. Here is the inside. You could probably use that for something. And here's the frame. This is what we actually need. And then this little wreath right here. It's nice because it cuts out the inside right away. And then one last thing, we're going to add a gold bow to the front of the wreath. So I'll just add that. Run this through. And I'm just going to go over top of the gold and then I'm going to come back. I sometimes find it's easier, especially if my die's on this half of the piece. And there is my little gold bow. And I threw my die on the ground. Best to pick it up now because later I'll forget and then I might vacuum it up accidentally. That would not be good. Okay. All right. Bring this piece back in. And it's been drying. The Tombo's been drying. And now I'm going to take a piece of vellum. This vellum is approximately 2 3/4 by 4 1/8. It's just a little bit smaller than my panel. I just put it between the two score lines. This is the back of the window, and then press down. And this is also where you could put a window sheet if you wanted to, but I like the look of kind of like the frosted glass right there. Okay, so if we want to, while this is flat, this might be easier to put this frame on here, but you can do this afterwards as well. But since I've already got the frame cut, let's do this frame first. And basically with the frame, you just want to center it around the edge of the window. And then we'll take this piece and I'll just, for this, I'm just going to attach it to the outside. So if you use 3 inches as your measurement, and the same punch as I did, I'm just putting 2 dots on each end, and those 2 dots are going to glue to the frame. And I'll just kind of come up maybe about there, and that just kind of goes across like that. Okay, I think rather than adding the wreath, because I want to add that with the dimensional, let's bring the box together now. And so the easiest way to do this, I'm trying to think, this, I want this to have the glue on, and then it's going to come over top like this, because I want the top of my box to kind of come over like this. So let's do this. We'll flatten the first 2 segments like this, and then we're folding over this bottom segment, and then we're going to smush it down like this. So I'll put adhesive onto here, and then we're going to bring this across like this and flatten it. so it's being adhered to the other segment. Use the bone folder to smooth it down too. So it's like that. So those two pieces just overlap on the end. Then you can slide this in. Remember, it's snug, okay? So it's not, you don't want it to go in too easily, because otherwise it's going to slip right back out. So you want it to go in with just the tiniest bit of resistance. So that's just perfect, right, as we have it. And now I'm going to take my garden green wreath, and I'll take a mini dimensional, and I'll just pop that little mini dimensional just up at the top. I'm going to put that dimensional right on that center bar. So that just kind of helps it just pop up just a little bit. And then I'll put a little tombow right in the center of my gold bow. And I'll put that on there. Press that down for a second. And then we have these are called gold adhesive back swirls. They are part of the Fitting Florets collection, but they can be purchased individually. And what I love about them is they've just got kind of a nice little swirly sort of detail, and they're perfect for the middle of this bow. It's a tiny detail that just adds a little bit of bling to the center. So on this one I did a red frame with a green wreath, which I think, looks really nice. But I really wanted to, when I was doing these other two boxes, I wanted to show how you could do it in a monochromatic way. And you could do let me shove this back in here. So you could do them monochromatically, right? You can do them just all red, all green, all espresso. Or you can do this, right? And that, I think, is probably kind of more traditional, the red and the green. And look, you can see the Ghirardelli chocolates are just peeking through, but they're not super obvious. You know something good is in here, right? So that's it. Merry wishes. I hope you liked that. All the different colors. You could do it in whatever color you wanted to. It's very, very easy to do. Okay, I'm coming back over to you. So if you want to make these boxes, I have a supply list down below with all the ingredients, all the supplies to make this. I also have a better list on my blog. So if you go to the first link in my description, that will take you to a photo supply list so you can see things in more detail. A lot of people already have things like a cutter and a scoring board and a die cutting machine. So then you can just buy what you need, the colors that you need, or maybe you don't have the Word Wishes bundle yet, because you will need it to create that fun little window. It's like that perfect size for the front of this box. I don't know how I got so lucky. I was just playing around with the Ghirardelli chocolates, and sometimes things just come together so nicely. And in this case, that came together nicely, but you could also fill it with Hershey's Kisses or whatever. So I do have a host code if you are planning on placing an order. And let me just pop that up on the screen here. That's my host code for the month. And this month, you can choose one of my retired stamp sets. I have a page so that you can choose your stamp set. I'm going to just pull up a few just so you can see some different stamp sets that I have. So these are just a few of the stamp sets that I have available. And the first batch got sent out this week, and I got a really nice email from my customer who received hers last night. Actually, I got two really nice thank you emails, but one person was in particular really happy because she had bought some wood mount stamp sets in the past, and they take up a lot of room. So these used to be wood mount, but they were unmounted. So these stamp sets were previously not available as a cling mount. So I just want to show you what it looks like. They come in a case like this, right? And then it's just like what we used. It's like beautiful rubber, and they're mounted on cling. So that's a little piece stuck to the back of there, but they're mounted on cling, and then they just stick back into the case like that. So they're just like beautifully done. Like, and I used to like cut out my stamps right to the edges, so you shouldn't get any shadows or anything like that. So they truly are really a nice thing to get as a gift. And normally I only send out like one gift. Like if you purchase over $50 with me in the month, and you get like a package of gems or something like that. But this month, for every $50 you spend, you can choose one of these stamp sets. And they really are nice stamp sets. Actually, they were my favorite stamp sets. And these are ones that I unmounted because I wanted to keep them for a very long time. That was when I was more of a hobby demonstrator, but now I collect too many stamps. I can't keep them all because I will not use them all in my lifetime. And we're probably going to be moving to a smaller place here in the area, and I can't keep everything. So I want to, it's like giving your, maybe not your children, that's a little extreme, but giving your beloved possessions onwards to someone that will have loved them as well. So so for every $50 you spend using this host code in November, you get to pick one of these. You are welcome to email me in advance to reserve what you want, so you make sure that it's still available, and I'll put it aside for you until you place your order. And then I'm sending them out on a weekly basis. I'm batching them up and sending them out each week instead of waiting until the end of the month. So you'll get these before December if you order them. If you order on November 30th, you won't get them before December, but if you order earlier on in the month, you won't have to wait all the way till December to get them. Okay, what else is going on? Let me pop that aside. And that information is available on my blog. If you click on November specials, you will see how to get there and everything. And if you have any questions, you're always welcome to ask me. All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Vera Blue from Tennessee. So nice that you're here. She always leaves me the sweetest comments. She's been doing that for a long time. That's so sweet. Thank you. Good morning, Ellie from Connecticut. She said her new supermarkets were already supplied with holiday Ghirardelli. Oh, awesome. Yeah, they do make holiday Ghirardelli. I haven't been to the grocery store in a couple of weeks, so I'm pretty sure my grocery store will already have stuff. They are always really good. They always put things ahead of every other grocery store. I think it kind of feels like they're doing it for me, but I know they're not. Good morning, Deborah from Virginia. I'm sorry, so many people have rain this morning. Good morning, Donna from New Hamburg. Do you know what, Donna? We got married in New Hamburg. Ta-da! We did. We got married at the Lutheran Church in New Hamburg. So that's really cool. We weren't living in New Hamburg at the time, but there was an awesome pastor there called Pastor Andre. He's not there anymore, but he was an amazing pastor, and he married us in our little church in New Hamburg. So that was kind of cool. A little aside, since you put down you're in New Hamburg. I didn't know that, Donna. I knew you were in Ontario, but I didn't know you were in New Hamburg. All right. Good morning, Marty. And it's raining in Pittsburgh. Oh, my goodness. It's not raining here yet, so let's not say that R word too much. Good morning. Oh my gosh, it's raining everywhere. Good morning, Mary. And it's raining in Chattanooga. Tennessee, my goodness. I used to live in Tennessee, but not on that side. I lived in Memphis. Good morning, Kristen from Colorado. And good morning, Jean. I haven't seen you for a while from Oregon, and it's freezing in Oregon. You know what? I think it's been cold for you guys on the Pacific side because my mom also tells me it's been pretty cold in British Columbia. So I feel for you, but we're going to get it on the East Coast eventually. It takes a little longer for winter to hit here, but when it does, it lingers. Good morning, Marilyn from Alabama. Um, her 8-year-old grandson just called her husband to thank him for his service and wish him a happy day. Aw, that's really sweet. I love that when grandkids do special things like that for their grandparents. Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Cindy. Oh, Cindy's driving to Coquitlam, BC. How awesome. Oh, and she's meeting a friend at On Tour tomorrow. Oh, yes, it's on stage this weekend. It's in the U.S. and Canada. It's like a one-day event. I am not going this year. The events were a little far for me, and I'm not traveling as much as I used to. The closest one was Montreal. And then the next one would have been Pittsburgh. So I am not going this year, but next year I will be back on track to start going to Stampin' Up! Events. This year I did not go, but I truly believe in them. They're wonderful experiences. So everyone who's going to On Stage, I hope you have an amazing time because just the energy and just meeting with other stampers, it's just wonderful. Stampers are amazing people. Marty said, is Whisper White and Basic White the same white color? There can be a difference in whites. So, yeah, Basic White is our new Stampin' Up! White. But for years and years and years, the color was Whisper White. The mill that produced Whisper White closed. And so it closed very suddenly. And then they had to find someplace that could make our white cardstock. And it is slightly different in color, but our white, our new white, our basic white is, I think, even whiter than Whisper White was. If that is, that has what I've been told, that our basic white, it is a very true, pure white color. So if that's what you want, we no longer sell Whisper White, but every once in a while I'll catch myself saying Whisper White, so I'm sorry, but my brain is on autopilot and Whisper White will just come out because it was our cardstock for years and years and years before we switched to Basic White. And basically that mill closed and we had to pivot, and that was it. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, Marilyn, who said that? Vera Blue. She said they're Ferrero Rocher chocolates, not Ghirardelli chocolates. Where is my head at? Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to change all of my project sheet and my title. Oh, how embarrassing is that? Yes, I am like, I can see Ferrero Rocher, Ghirardelli. You know what my problem is? My brain. This is a Ferrero Rocher chocolate, not a Ghirardelli, but they all have foreign sounding names, and I just hit on Ghirardelli, not Ferrero Rocher. So yes, these are Ferrero Rocher chocolates. I will change the name in my titles afterwards. Sorry guys, I've been talking about these chocolates the whole time. They are indeed Ferrero Rocher, and you know what? I don't think anyone would mistake these because Ghirardelli does not make chocolates. Ghirardelli makes the thin chocolates. This is what happens. Brains take shortcuts sometimes, and that's what happens. I work with chocolate so much and my brain just stopped working. It's on overdrive. Okay, yes, these are Ferrero Rocher. I will change the name of the chocolates. Sorry guys. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm just reading some more comments. Marty said, I wonder if the kitty from the welcome bundle with the front door would work in that window. Let me see if I have the welcome bundle handy. Where is it? Warm welcome. Okay, I'm pulling it out. I went to my... Okay, so here is the little kitty die, which is probably the easiest way. So I'm just gonna pop that up on there. So yeah, I think it would work. You could put it in that little window right there. I think it would work. You just have to redistribute the greeting right there. So for those of you who are not familiar, we have this bundle called Warm Welcome, and it has a little tiny cat in it. And so you can absolutely, if you have this bundle, you can pop other things in the window if you want to. So yes, go ahead and do that. That will be fun. Okay. Everyone's saying beautiful, beautiful gift to share. Ramona says love it. Marty says clear stamps are great, but rubber lasts and stamps beautifully. Yeah, they're both great for different reasons. And I think sometimes when we have dyes that match, they're doing a lot more of the photopolymer because it's nice for, you know, the stamping and the everything. Marty says, I know how you feel about getting rid of stamps. I had to get rid of a lot of stamps when I moved. Yeah, it's kind of like a preemptive strike because I feel like we're going to be in a smaller place, and I don't want to live with all that extra that I am not using. And I feel like I want to move it on to someone who will use and love it. So that's the reason why I'm doing it. You know, right now we have plenty of room. Our where I store it is it's nice and dry, and I've taken really good care of things. I'm a true believer in that. I take care of things, but yeah, it's hard to move things on. But Sydney said she's starting to stockpile Rocher and Linder from Costco. Yes, that's a good place to get chocolate. Nancy said, yay, another Lutheran. Yep, we grew up in the Lutheran church. I'm from British Columbia, and so my mom was the church secretary at our church. So yeah, Lutherans go way back. Okay, Donna said today is Remembrance Day in Canada. I know where that church is in New Hamburg, and it's starting to rain here too. Oh my gosh, everywhere it's raining today. Cindy said, I got another Lutheran here in Everett. Oh wow, lots of Lutherans on here. Kristen said, eat a piece of chocolate, Brenda, and it will all be better. I know. You know what? And I could eat a piece. I could eat this Ferrero Rocher, except these are my display chocolates. And I know they're at least a year old, and I'm not going to eat them at this point anymore. It's good to have some display chocolates because that way I don't eat them all, right? And so those are my display chocolates, and I know I can't eat them because they're old. So yeah, I can't even eat a decent piece of chocolate and get over my mistake, but they're all good. Ghirardelli, Ferrero, Hershey, you know, chocolates are good, right? Thank you for that. Jean said, no worries, Brenda. We all have days like that. I know. I don't know what I was thinking. I was writing it up this morning, and I truly, I have to say my brain has been consumed with the house stuff, and it's so complicated here. For every house, there's like something that like I have to research before we even go see it, and try and find out information about the limited houses that are here, and each one of them has the Pandora's box full of surprises for me to discover, and then we have to decide which ones we can live with and which ones which houses we can put an offer on. And so my brain is like consumed with all of those details. So I think I love this design though, so I was very excited when everything came together. But I'll just change out those names and it will all be good, and no one except for you guys on the video will know. I'm okay. We all make little mistakes sometimes, right? Okay, well, I hope you have a great weekend. I think this project will be a great little host gift. So think about it, and I'm here if you have questions about getting the supplies. And yeah, just message me or use my contact form to get a hold of me. Have a great weekend, and I will see you back here on Tuesday and Friday next week. Bye bye, everyone.